Oh. Hello.
Hi.
How are you both?
Good. How are you? Is
I'm
this
great?
good?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our
I'm-
video looks a little fuzzy compared to yours.
It might just be internet connection.
I don't have any more lights.
Yeah, it should be fine. I'm just making you guys co-hosts
Okay.
real quick. And then you should be able to share your screen from there, but I'll just give a little blurb at the beginning. And then let you guys go. I mean, I'll still be here, but
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Let me get up.
Should I try sharing? Maybe it's my light right here. It makes it look funny.
It might be. There's like some light rays coming down.
Yeah, I have the light right there. And I don't know, this part of my whole house is kind of dark.
That's okay.
Not the best lighting. I'm like, okay. Should I try sharing my screen really quick before?
Yeah.
Just to make sure it works.
Yep. I won't let anyone in until we're all set, so we're good.
And then
Nice.
yeah.
Perfect.
Last minute little PowerPoint, but
That's
where do I
perfect.
view? I had a hard time figuring out where to view it last time I've done one of these.
I'm so bad at them too, so you're totally fine. I think
View. And then I just want to figure, because I was teaching high school classes to students last spring.
yeah.
And for a couple classes, I was just having such a hard time figuring out where to, Mary, do you know?
Like the present, like there's not just like a clear present button, which would be nice.
Besides this, is that the only one? There's not like a
Slideshow, try it.
and then okay,
Oh yeah.
then escape. Okay,
So that looks,
so it's this little button. Yeah, there should be like a present thing. Okay, and then stop share. Okay,
Perfect.
good. I've been using WebEx a lot because I work for OHSU and they only use WebEx. So I've been used to that.
Yeah. No worries.
But Zoom is better, just saying.
Is it?
Yeah,
we use, at my job, we use Microsoft Teams and I love it because it saves all your chat.
we use Teams also for
Mhm.
OHSU. Like all of our texting is in Teams, and then we can also do video meetings and file sharing, which is convenient.
That's really
You
nice.
guys do use Teams, huh?
We do use Teams. I
Mm.
love it because then you can go back and
I'll just deal with this light ray because otherwise I don't have a light on this part of the.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I mean, you'll have the presentation up too, so I don't think it's that big of a deal, honestly.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Let's see.
but yeah, we'll wait until 6:30 and I'll give my little quick spiel at the beginning and let everyone know I'll let everyone know ahead of time.
You were just breaking up. I hope it's not our
My-
internet.
Phone's muted throughout this at the end. So
You're frozen now. Oh, I need to.
there you are.
You were frozen for a minute.
So were you.
Okay.
you want to have Mary and Katie since I'm on the left.
Oh, yeah. I'm just renaming
You
myself.
could be Mary for an evening.
No, no.
No
Justin
worries.
Chin entered the waiting room.
Yep.
Oh no, just kidding.
Do you guys know Justin?
I know Justin. I don't know.
He's so sweet.
Yeah, I worked with him. I used to work at UU.
Oh, okay.
We worked there at the same time and left at the same time too.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you know Sean Heske?
I actually had classes with her in
Oh,
college.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So just
I went
through
to school with her sister.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I graduated the same year as her sister.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think I want to say Sanheshke and I are the same age. So, yeah.
Which would be your age too.
I think so.
Are you guys like 25? Or
I'm 23. Sanheshke is, I think she's also 23. Maybe 24.
okay, so you're just barely older.
Yeah. Just a couple years.
Yeah. Well.
And I'm the little sister, so my name's Mary.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Officially.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I'll let everyone in, give my little spiel, and then we'll get started.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
And then this is being recorded.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. There's Justin. Thought we had a couple more people in the waiting room, but I'm not seeing it show up. So we'll just get started. Alrighty. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining Art Center East this evening for this wonderful artist talk. My name is Sophia Imoni, and I'm the programs coordinator here at ACE. I'm honored to have the opportunity to introduce the Harris Sisters, a trio that creates traditional regalia in Pendleton, Oregon. I ask that all audience members please keep their microphones muted throughout the presentation. The artists will open up the floor for questions at the very end. Alrighty, that is enough from me. Welcome to the virtual stage, Katie Harris Murphy and Mary Harris.
I think I'm gonna pull up the PowerPoint just so that we can introduce ourselves with that. Share screen. Okay. So, Mary and I were asked to come talk. We have a third sister who's currently in medical school. Her name's Anna, but for tonight, Mary and I were both able to come do this talk. And do you want to start off by introducing yourself first, I guess?
Sure, I'd love to. Hi, Tatskalawit. Good evening. That's in Nez language. My name is Mary Harris, and I am the youngest of the three Harris sisters. So I'm the baby. I get nervous a little bit, but I love to talk when people really get me talking.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go next. I'm Katie Harris Murphy. I currently live in Pendleton, Oregon on the Umatilla Indian Reservation. We are both Blaauwban Nez Perce, also Cayuse, Umatilla, Karuk, and Iroquois. And we're gonna be talking, if you hear a little youngster in the background, I have like he's breathing. Okay. I have a 3-month-old who's here sleeping at the moment. But we're going to talk today about kind of our art style, what we do, and a little bit of background of how we got into this. So to start, can I just, okay, good. So we got into doing art projects. I didn't really think of this as art. It's just something that we wanted to do by being involved in our culture. So we got into beadwork at a very young age. At first, we just started learning how to bead because we were interested in it. And eventually we made like goals that we kept working towards on like projects wise. None of us grew up with any beadwork because my mom wasn't raised near her reservation or near her tribe, didn't grow up knowing how to make any of our cultural regalia. My dad was one of 5 boys, and they also had 3 other cousins living in their house. Also 2 males and a female, so they didn't have regalia. Lots of kids in the house. Regalia got lost over time in the family, so like getting stolen, some of it lost in a flood, just all sorts of things happening back in the day. So we didn't inherit really like anything. We have a couple outfits that like like a couple bags that were handed down. That was about it. So we have pretty much started from scratch. And we started getting more interested in having our own regalia by watching, in Pendleton, we have this court called the Happy Canyon Princesses that represent our city, Pendleton, and our tribe. And they were girls that we always looked up to. We didn't have any of like anything. So everything that you see here in like this picture, for example, these photos are taken by our best friend, Kyle, who's pretty much our brother, but all of the regalia that you see in our picture, we've had to make from scratch.
And then what made, when I was in about 8th grade or high school age, seems like a long time ago, but really just, I guess, a few years. I grew up and I absolutely love to dance. And so whenever we'd go to powwows, I'd see a lot of the adult women dancing in like these beautiful outfits, beautiful leggings, moccasins, yokes, and being a fancy dancer, I love dancing fast. And I thought, I want to be just like them. And so Katie actually helped me make my very first set of fully beaded leggings and mocks and a fancy dance yoke. And whenever I'm out there on the dance floor, it's always such an amazing feeling because we worked on that together back when I was basically a kid, a preteen age. And so even as an adult now, I still wear that stuff because will always love it forever. And that eventually, whenever I have kids, that'll be passed down to my children.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we got into. A lot of beadwork is we didn't have we had like nothing passed down to us, so we wanted to have stuff to pass down ourselves, and we all wanted our own outfits. So my dad having 3 girls, and nothing to hand down, all he could really do is give us the supplies to make things. And then my mom, like, she learned from her mother-in-law, my grandma, how to make things, but she didn't make things very fast. So she taught us the skill of like how to make stuff. So both of them giving us skills taught us how to make all of our cultural regalia from pretty much having no teachers and just going off of photos, and occasionally from borrowing people, we would like look on the inside of the dress and like, how did they make this and how did they get put together? And of course, we have our tribal museum here that we'll talk about that later, but tribal members can go in and look at objects and learn how to how they're constructed and stuff. So now we have many different outfits. We've been working on it like 20 years, I'd say. Just making all of these pieces to make full, complete outfits for all of us. And so yeah, that's a little bit about how we got into beadwork. So what time is it? What time is it?
6:38.
Okay. So I'm going to go into some of our inspirational photos, I guess. So all of the black and white ones are going to be photos from the past, and then the color ones are from current. But we draw a lot of inspiration from old-timey stuff. So part of what Harris Sisters Co., everything that we do, we like to keep it as traditional as possible, and that's just kind of what our forte is. There's kind of two types of beadworks that people do. You're either doing like traditional beadwork or contemporary beadwork, and we really appreciate and love and buy contemporary beadwork, but what we enjoy making is traditional beadwork, things that from 100 years ago still look the same, or look relevant to the past. One of my other sister, she did leather work, and her leather teacher, he said that back in the day, you used to be able to tell people what tribe they came from by the style of beadwork that they were wearing, like even like the type of flowers, the type of geometrics, the style of war bonnet, the style of leggings that people wore. You could look at it and tell what tribe they're from. And with like powwow and contemporary styles, you can't really tell as much nowadays. It's all kind of really modern. So what we really like to show in our beadwork is keep that 100 and 150-year-old style going. So this is a picture. On the left is our grandma's great, directly descended from him, Chief Metot Weptis, Metot 3 Weptis eagle feathers. And then on the right, nowadays, that's my dad. So he's kind of wearing like a mix, obviously, because he's wearing like a ribbon shirt that's contemporary, but the rest of it's really traditional. And here's just another example of like things that we look up to. So this person, Melissa Parr, she was a really prominent Native woman back in the day who was involved in a whole bunch of things. She had a huge collection of regalia, and everything that her family made and had is absolutely beautiful. And so a picture on the right, that one's me at Pendleton Roundup. Everything that we're wearing, we made, and it's just a really great opportunity to go to events like that where we can like wear and display our regalia, just like they did 100 years ago. Do you have anything you want to add? Oh, you can, the next slide's for you, Mary.
Okay, so on the left, okay, so this makes me extremely excited because it's something that makes me really proud. So on the left is our grandmother, our dad's mom, and in it she's wearing her buckskin dress that one of her relatives made for her when she was young. And what happened to it was that when she went off to boarding school, it got lost. And so when she was in her older age, she always told Katie, actually, she says, someday I really wish I can see my dress again, someday. And so back in 2015, we had a bunch of old photos, and we looked through old photos that my mom took also, took of like
Or collected. My mom has a whole binder full of photos that she just collected over time. She was like the original Pinterest before Pinterest was invented. So she would like cut out clippings from magazines or the newspaper or whatever. She just like cut it and then put it in this binder full of tons and tons of photos of people from our tribe in regalia,
like old newspaper clippings also. So we went through so many old photos, and I would pull them up on my little iPod on my phone back then, and my iPod, I'd scan over them. I'd be like this, putting it up to my face, going, oh. And it took a couple weeks to get it all mapped out and lined out of just straight working on it. And then it took another it took a few months actually to actually get the whole dress recreated and beaded. And so my main dress that I always wear is a recreation of our grandmother's dress, which was lost. So it always makes me feel really proud when I wear it. And then whenever my sisters wear it, they get the same feelings from it because it was we poured a lot of love and sweat into it. And it's something I'll never forget and something I'll always be excited to tell people.
Yeah, so on the picture on the left, if she didn't say it, I don't remember. The left is my grandma, and then the right is Mary modern day.
Yeah,
And
oh.
so most of the photos that we were going through, we didn't have any color photos. There was like one painting that we went off of that one of our relatives had, and then Mary was able to match the colors up almost exact. It was kind of cool.
And then afterwards, this one gentleman got a hold of Katie of some of the very first colored photos or videos of our great aunt who
From
is
70 years ago.
From 70 years ago, of our great aunt who is our grandmother's sister, because they would switch dresses sometimes during roundup when her oldest sister was queen. And so they got pictures of her wearing our grandmother's dress. And then we were able to confirm that we got all the colors correct. And that was just such a happy moment.
Lots of checking down.
Yeah.
And then this is our last example of past inspiration. So that is my grandma's little brother in that cradle board on the left. And that is my grandma's mom at their roundup. But I just recently actually found that cradle board online in an auction. I don't have enough money for it yet, but someday. And then on the picture on the right is me with my new little baby in the cradle board that I made for him. And people don't really make those cradle boards anymore. I haven't seen one that's modern day. I've seen people with ones that are handed down. So because we didn't have one, because that one on the left is in a private collection, I decided to make my own. So all of us, I mean, we have cradle boards, but they're Umatilla style. This one's a Nez Perce style. So I wanted to make one that he'll someday get to keep. So it took over 100 hours to make. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to space these kids out if these are going to take this long to make, because it took seriously so long to make that thing. Took forever. And then, so the next few photos that we're going to go into is kind of just some of our pieces that we have made, and we'll kind of just talk about what they are. So this one is a panel belt. We make a lot of panel belts. It's one of the main things that I make, and it's one of the things that I love to make. There's projects that you make because people really want something, and then there's projects that you make that people want, but also it's just really fun to do. So panel belts, I always love making panel belts. There's a couple different styles that you can make. I make 3-inch wide ones, and then these 1.5-inch belts that go in belt loops. But this is a traditional style that if you go into museums or online and look at auctions, the style is going to look pretty like traditional. Like it's not contemporary. So if you just ever go online and look at Nez Perce style, Umatilla, Cayuse style beadwork, which is the main styles that we make, that we're just trying to keep things really old school. And here's another one that I did this year. Yeah, I think I did this year. This is a piece that I made for somebody that they wanted to go with their regalia, because they also didn't get passed down regalia. So I made this for them, and now they get to have a piece that they get to keep. Even though my friend was like, when I die, I'm going to take this with me. And I was like, okay, you sure you don't want to pass it down? But so I just have a lot of fun making these and looking at old photos and going to museums and finding pieces to look at. And then our other sister that isn't here that we talked about at the beginning, so Mary and I both do beadwork, and then Mary also does the seamstressing. And then our other sister, who's part of Hair Sisters Co., she does the leather work, and she does absolutely beautiful leather work. She got trained by one of the top leatherwork people in the world. His name's Pedro Pedrini, and she is just a natural artist, natural drawer. And you have to be able to draw to do leather work pretty much.
She's done big paintings in like 1 week that were just beautiful.
Oh yeah, she does painting also.
So-
She has a lot of different mediums that she can work in. Pretty much if she wasn't in medical school right now, I think she could work full-time as an artist.
She's really
But
good.
they do say she's going to become a surgeon, and most surgeons are actually really artistic. I can name a few doctors that I know, and they also are really good at art and have like a medium that they work in. They have to be creative. So this is just a side of a pair of boots that she tooled for. Mary, do you want to?
So for these are keychains. They're kind of something more modern, but we also incorporated a more traditional take for these keychains. They're super fun to do because people will say, hey, do you think you can make me something in this color? And I'll be like, sure. And so having the creative freedom to do whatever kind of designs just really makes it a lot of fun. So these are keychains that we base, because I'll make different types of sets. So one time I did like a winter set, and this was a plateau set that we did kind of to signify for the springtime that came up. And because when the springtime comes, that's when you go visit a lot of family. Winter's ended, yeah. And so these just bring me a lot of joy because it just signifies the coming springtime and flowers and seeing family again.
All of you can see our screen, right? Okay. This happened to me. I was teaching a session for students last March, and I went through one whole session with just me on the screen, and I didn't even share screen, and none of them told me I didn't. They're just listening, and then they had questions afterwards, and I was like, oh, I feel like, yeah. Next one. This is another example of how we are making like traditional style beadwork, still somewhat contemporary, but still very traditional. So this is like our panel belts that we make, but the small version and the kind that you can wear like every day, because not everyone is going to wear a panel belt every single day. People just don't. So this is something that I've been making a lot of. They're just called panel bracelets, and it just incorporates like that same belt style into a bracelet. And then the one in the center top, the red one, that one's based off of our tribal flag. That's probably one of my favorite ones I've done. And then, yeah, so Mary and I worked on these two together, and we've done a lot of panel belts. These are the two most recent.
Yeah.
Or I think I did one more after this, but two really recent panel belts that we made. We finally timed it to see how long it takes to make one of these, and it takes a little over 40 hours to make one belt. But this was made, it was a commission for the Happy Canyon Princesses last year. They're Pendleton tribal representatives. But these are commissioned and then by a family, and then they were gifted to the girls. So it's one cool way that people are like utilizing tribal artists to make regalia. And then girls are getting these, and then they're going to be able to pass them down, because a lot of times, sometimes people might borrow regalia. Like when I was a princess, I had to borrow regalia because my family didn't have any. And then after that, we started making regalia like tenfold. So these are just two of the pieces we did recently that match the girls' colors. This is also another type of project that I take on, is I like to do graduation caps for people. They're pretty easy, but they're a lot of fun. I love doing the corners. And this is a Nick Yahweh student's graduation cap. Oh, my baby's gonna wake up. Like, you want to go get him? All right. You just realized that wasn't there. This is one of the necklaces that my sister Mary makes. Do you want to kind of?
Yeah. You can't see him, so but I'm holding her.
He's in his curl board.
Yeah, so he's right here. Actually, he took a nice, good, long nap. Puts them right to sleep. So with these these are chokers that I make, kind of like what I'm wearing right now. These make me really happy because it's so fun to make, and then you can style them with so many type of outfits. And I use 9mm shells on the ends because I want them to be special. Because most people will use kind of store-bought things for the ends, but I wanted to reuse I wanted to put a little bit of reuse into some objects, so that way, like whenever I go to the shooting range and then we shoot our 9mm, and it's like, hey,
And you can just
I'll just pick
some
them up
stuff
because
off the
most people just
ground.
leave them on the ground. So I wanted to make sure that I want recycled certain materials in order to
Here's an example of kind of a process for one of the pieces that we do. This is my sister Anna, the other one that isn't here, who usually helps me with these, but she and I like transfer images onto and draw them onto the leather, and then we like carve it out on the leather. We paint them, and then eventually we cut them out, edge them. And these are based off of like our traditional parfleches that we've done. I have like some actual old parfleches at our house that were gifted to me. But I have a whole Pinterest just for parfleches because I really love parfleche. To explain what a parfleche is it's our tribe's suitcases. So like people would use them, they would be painted like these, but they would be made out of rawhide, and you would unfold them, and when people travel, you could put like all of your clothes, all of your stuff in them. Also, we have like rawhide bonnet cases that are also painted like this, but they're more circular, like a tube that when you fold up your bonnet, you just like put it in the tube. Let's see. And that's what they look like when they're done. So we just like to put like traditional stuff back in modern day. And this is specific to our tribe. Other tribes have parfleches as well, like the Sioux tribe and Montana tribes, but their designs are all very different. Ours don't have a lot of curvy designs. Everything is pretty rigid, straight, just geometric. You can kind of tell by the tribes, like their style of parfleches that they make. So we just stick to our tribe style. This is another example of the tooling that Anna does. There's a lot that goes into these. She's pretty much a master. She's working as the belt maker at Hamley's under Pedro for a while, and he was teaching her how to do belts, and that's what she likes to do most is like belts. So there's all sorts of dies that you use, and she hand draws all of these before she carves them. So in pencil is going along, drawing out the design. And there's so much that goes into these, like with oils and dyes and to get the right color for everything. But they're super pretty.
And these are the two belts that we had earlier up that we had made for the Happy Canyon girls. I made two matching necklaces for them, combining both of the colors from both of the belts. And I wanted them to match and be special to them for the whole year. And they said they just absolutely love them.
But Mary does a lot of necklaces like these.
Yeah.
She doesn't just, these are the ones she's done. She's done like a lot of different lengths ones. She made another one. We're actually having our stuff in a fashion show tomorrow at Wild Horse Casino. They're having a fashion show for the ATNI conference, and Mary's still getting things ready for that, but she's made some more longer necklaces and cool things that are gonna be in there. This is another thing that we do work with Dentalium. This was me on my wedding, and I should have put a side-by-side photo of like an old style one next to it, but people don't really make these anymore. I mean, they kind of have more recently. Back when I made this, which was in 2019, I hadn't really seen any except for like maybe two that are in the museum and then one that was at a trade shop. And besides that, I was like, okay, I don't know anyone that has any of these. I've never seen anyone make them. I just started collecting photos from like different tribal museums that had them at different auction sites. And then I pieced together kind of how to make it. I used Mary as a model and put it together. So a lot of things that we make, there's not really like a rule book on how to do it. There's certain aspects that you can tell like what tribe and how, but there's not really, unless you've had like generational knowledge, there's not really like a way to know how to build something. So we had to get creative and figure out how to make this. And I wanted one that was longer than some of the ones in the museums. So it was a lot heavier and a lot more, we had to figure out a way to make it
Especially
put
since
together.
we have very long hair.
Yeah. So this is just another example of stuff that I make. My husband used to cowboy for 5 or 6 years of his life, or maybe more, I'm not sure. In the museums and online, you can see headstalls like these. I made one for him for like a Christmas gift, but we've been making them a little bit more often. They're just really cool. And being able to make them instead of buying one from a store is also really cool. And that's just an example of one of the ones that I've made. He uses it all the time. One thing that people ask me is like, aren't the beads going to rub off since you're using it on a horse all the time? They haven't. The first thing that I made a dog collar out of this for my dog. And he was like my first test subject. So I got to see this dog that scratches all the time, how durable it would be. So it's like, yeah, if it can withstand that dog, then it can withstand pretty much anything. And this is Mary.
Yeah, so this is me. So I am in a jingle dress in that photo, and the beadwork I have on was made by Katie. It's actually her beadwork. I love the way the beadwork looks. It's absolutely beautiful, and I'm always asking her whenever I go dance, hey, can I borrow your stuff? Just because I love it. And she's had her beadwork actually longer than probably just as long or longer than.
Had it since 2009.
Yeah, so
It's
just
a long time.
just as longer than my first set of beadwork that I had. I love to dance. I dance fancy dancing. I do jingle dancing and traditional, but my favorite all time is fancy because it's fast.
But this is an example of like a jingle dress. It's a contemporary. So the jingle dress is a historical dance to the Ojibwe people, but this is just in the powwow world, there's it's kind of become popular and became like a dance that people do. So the colors in the dress are like all like modern fabrics. They're contemporary. And back in the day, the jingles used to be made, the jingles nowadays are made out of shells. So they make a certain, or metal, so they make a certain sound. But back in the day, they were made out of shells. But the jingle dance is a healing dance. And there's different significances to the different dances. But this is like a modern like jingle dress.
And a lot of people from like the Ojibwe nation are all over are starting to go back towards starting to split the categories into the contemporary or old school jingle dancing. So that's always cool to see.
Yeah, a lot of people are going back. So it was contemporary for like a long time, from like the 60s on. And then in the last decade, people have been going back to wearing more traditional style dresses. So like traditional buckskin dresses, like what most of our photos were of, traditional jingle dresses, so ones that aren't so flashy like this one is. It's just kind of cool seeing the styles are kind of going back. And then I thought I'd include a better close-up photo of this cradle board. Again, I have a whole Pinterest where I've been saving photos from different cradle boards, and then all of the different designs that are in it have a different significance. So like we have a historic family board that our family doesn't have anymore, but it had strawberries on it. So I wanted to include that. And then another family cradle board had grapes on it, which is what the purple grapes are for. And then that yellow flower I kind of use in a lot of beadwork, and I just really like that design. So I wanted to include that as well. And the light blue, dark blue. So that's this little kid here. And then, let's see, it's 7:03. This, can I hide this thing? Hide video panel? Nope, that's not it. Oh, maybe I should have done this. Sorry. These are just some of the examples of things that we've been in, and definitely by being a part of our culture and making regalia, it has given us a lot of opportunities that we might have never had. I think a lot of it started from when I was in National Geographic in 2011, so that was like over a decade ago. But right there, I just have like the very minimal beadwork. Like my dress wasn't fully done yet. Our regalia wasn't fully done. We had like little bits and pieces, but that was about 2009 was when we started really working on stuff. So from there on, we have a lot more things now, but it all kind of started with that. And it kept wanting us to make more and have more, because you see some of the collections that families have that are in the museum, they have like thousands of pieces, and we don't have anything to hand down. So we just wanted to keep making things, and it's led us to be involved in a lot of great projects, like being in Stetson. That had a lot to do with Anna's leather work that she does. And then also we got to be in a Portugal the Man video, which was pretty cool. The Eastern Oregon visitors guide, that was my mom's photo that she did. And then of course, Anna. And we've got to be in magazines. Just a bunch of cool things have come from being who we are and being involved in our culture, taking opportunities that people present. And we've met a lot of really cool people. We've met some mentors through this and met other people that have inspired us from this, and vice versa. So there's just been a lot of cool things come from us doing these different types of this different medium of art that I never really considered art for the longest time. It's just, I need regalia, I need beadwork. And now over time we get to be more creative, and eventually it led to us like selling like traditional style pieces that we don't want to like necessarily keep for ourselves, but so that other people can also have pieces in their family. It's not clicking. Okay. And then I thought I'd share this. We're on Etsy. We have a website, so we're official. We have our Instagram and our Facebook. We haven't really been super active lately just because we have that fashion show coming up, and then I kind of had a break from having a baby and then traveling a lot for work lately. So, and then we've also been working on projects for ourselves. So we'll have like big time periods where we're like making things for other people. And then all of a sudden it's like, I need to work on a project for myself. So like right now I'm doing one of those. I'm making this beaded dress for myself. Another one, I don't know how many I have now.
Yeah.
But
It's actually funny because I had gotten this purple velvet that I absolutely love.
yeah, I have a
and-
velvet dress I'm working on.
Yeah, so I got this purple velvet I absolutely love, and I showed it in front of my sisters one night, and I'm like, I'm gonna make a dress, and they go, ooh, I like that fabric, and I'm like, oh yeah, and they go, and like, you gonna make us a dress too? And I go, I guess so. And I just barely had enough to cut out 3 sister dresses, and each one is gonna be made differently, but they'll all be matching the same purple wool, but they'll be
But the
different.
beadwork on them will
Yeah.
be different styles.
And so we're gonna have 3 sister dresses, and whenever we get them all done, so that's what she's working on currently.
yeah. And that's all we have. That's in Katya is our language for thank you.
Do you guys have any questions or comments? I think there's someone in the chat.
Is there?
Where did that thing go?
How do you show the thing?
Maybe click.
I don't know how to show it. Hmm.
Maybe a screen.
How do I stop sharing screen?
I think it's up in one of the corners or on the bottom, kind of,
It's down left.
yeah.
Well, that's for the PowerPoint. I hid my
Maybe if you
thing.
and show.
That's for the PowerPoint.
Um,
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Oh, there. Oh, thanks, Leah. Leah messaged us.
Oh,
Perfect. All
Should
right.
look-
Does anyone have any questions?
Justin, do you have any questions?
I do. Thank you, Katie and Mary, for this. It's so good to see the two of you and some Eastern Oregon people that way. Can you talk a little bit about the work that you're doing with Jinyu, the company that the native tribal company based out of Portland, and how that is influencing your beadwork and the fashion that you're doing, and how that carries heritage and culture forward?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Well, I guess to start, so that fashion company GNU, it's GNU. It was started by two doctors actually, that moved away from their tribal reservation. Their reservations are like in Wisconsin, Minnesota area, so like back east. But they were feeling pretty like disconnected living in Portland, Oregon, working as doctors. So them creating like a fashion line on native like clothing, they were getting reconnected themselves to their culture, because it's like you're living on a reservation, you're around your people and your culture all the time, and then you move away, and then all of a sudden you're like in Portland where you're not like connected. So that was their way of I mean, I'm not telling their story for them, but that's just kind of what I've gotten from Dr. Bro. But it has, they've just been really good at supporting like Native people. Like they've there's a couple Native people that they have helped kickstart careers for. So there's a couple guys, like tribal guys, that they had model for them, and now a couple of them actually have walked for like what was it, Gucci or something, in Fashion Week or whatever. One of them was on the cover of Vogue. I got to be in Vogue one time with them for their photos, but they've just been giving a lot of opportunities to support other Native artists, and also with their money they provide like a scholarship for tribal students. And then they've also, with the money that they've raised with their business, they recently donated like a lot of money to fund a skate park for the Warm Springs tribal kiddos. So they've been doing a lot of work. They've been really
do a lot of collaborations as well.
yeah, they've really been showing us like how important networking and then giving back to your community is, and all sorts of good leadership skills that we've been learning from them.
They're really good role models.
Yeah, they've been, yeah, for a lot of people. But they have their own style arts, like any art that you see in like their Pendleton wool, their custom Pendleton wool and their regalia is significant to their tribe, and then same for us. Everything that we make's significant to ours, like very different styles. I think they're more like woodland type tribes, would you say?
I think
Like,
so.
I think it's called woodland versus like us who are plateau style, versus like the most popular one is plains Indians, like the Sioux tribes and like Dakotas, Nakotas, stuff like that. and then even Southwest. Yeah, there's tons of different styles.
I have a question. Hi, Katie. Hi, Mary. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your experiences. And as you were talking about how you do your research and visit museums and kind of get inspiration from different designs, I was curious about how you, or what inspired you to kind of, if you're looking at black and white photos, how you selected colors, and if you're inspired by your environment or the seasons, or kind of what how did you tell that, or did you try to create something that was similar to what you thought might be traditional, in terms of black and white photos? Just kind of curious how you translated the black and white images to color.
Okay. So we both have worked in the tribal museum setting, so we've been around a lot of old pieces, and I think that I have a pretty photographic memory. So when I see pieces, I remember them. And then when I'm later looking at old photos, I can point out objects that I've seen like in the museum or in other museums. And like, I just have a really good knack, and I think you might too, for remembering like pieces of beadwork or pieces of quill work with pieces that are in museums. And there's certain types of beads that our tribe used a lot. There's a lot of bead types that like I won't buy because I know that they're not like something that people would have used back in the day. Like if you look at all the different pink beads in the world, a lot of beads that we use are like either French or German descent, because that's who the trappers were that came over and traded with the Indians. But for that replication piece that we did, that dress that we redid and replicated, that was our grandma's. We really just went off of like the one painting and tried to get it as close as we could. Just happened to get lucky. It was only later that other photos resurfaced in many other colors that we were able to put it all together. But really, it's just having a taste for old style beads and not using contemporary beads for like regalia. But, oh, and then one thing I might add too, that if anyone's curious about, before like the trappers came over and started trading with the indigenous people, we had a lot of quill work. You won't see a lot of it because quill work is not super common anymore. And quill work over time can unravel and deteriorate. It's made out of porcupine quills that are flattened and dyed. But we would have porcupine quills in different colors dyed on dresses, on martingales, on the horses, on the colors and everything. But you don't see that anymore except for pieces that were really well taken care of.
And nowadays there's been like a lot of people who try and revive that kind of artwork, and that's something we haven't really delved into just yet.
Yeah.
But in the future, I think it sounds exciting. Oh,
yep.
So you'll have to excuse me.
Watch out for the bird. Okay. Just gonna walk the baby. Yeah, but otherwise a lot of things were like the colors were made, not the beads, but like colors. Like sometimes you'll see dyes on dresses. People use a lot of colors in nature to do that. And we also had like makeup made from like natural flowers and stuff and paste and things that I have no idea about yet.
I have a quick question. I'm curious if you have made your own beads, or if you have any plans to make your own beads, or not necessarily beads, but any supplies that you use.
That's a good question. So yeah, so my dad, like on this, like the hide, my dad makes hides from like deer and elk and stuff. And then our furs that we wear, in the photos you see stuff wrapped around our hair, the furs, we make those as well. But as for beads, no, I don't make beads. I think that'd be really hard. I don't know anything about like ceramics or glass or anything. But I mean, other things we've collected like shells or like from from my mom's tribe when she was in California. She had like pine nuts and stuff. Different style of beadwork, but otherwise everything we kind of just either buy or we're still working out of beads that got passed down. We do have beads that got passed down, not like anything beaded really, but the actual supplies, and then also we buy them. But and then feathers are passed down too. So we don't make a lot of the supplies. We just use a lot of like leftover stuff, and then if we ever run out, we buy it.
Nice.
But yeah, the hides we can make. Yes.
So actually, and currently, because we do hunt, our dad has actually saved up all of the elk teeth that he's had over the years. And so one of our goals is to make our mother her own buckskin dress using the hides that he created himself, and then using the elk teeth that he got himself from all those years and all the different stories that goes with them. And that dress would be extremely special because
Yes, that's one thing that, good point. People back in the day, you would see a lot of elk teeth on dresses, but nowadays you don't. You see a lot of imitation teeth. We won't ever use imitation teeth on our stuff. But we do have like I have like earrings that are made out of elk teeth, and then my mom has like a bracelet, but
and
everything
sometimes
pretty much made out of shells.
and
elk
sometimes
teeth.
yeah, and sometimes people will buy elk teeth from other people, but because with us elk hunting is so special, and we understand that taking of life is very so that's why we save our elk teeth for our dresses and important stuff like that, because we have the stories behind them and they'll always be attached to those.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you.
And same for like well, now you got us going. Okay, now I'm thinking about it. Porcupine quills as well. I do use porcupine quills in some things, but not to the extent that people used them back then. And then also horsehair. We have a bunch of horsehair on stuff. Horsehair you can dye different colors. It was used a lot. They also use antlers in a lot of things, like you can carve like button or cut buttons out of them, or the old time Indian saddles are actually made out of elk horns, like that's why the Indian saddles have like that top part. If I have let me do I have that photo again. It's but we used all the parts of the animal back in the day, and we still kind of try and do that, just to make things as realistic. Good question.
Thanks. Any other questions?
Anybody?
Alrighty.
Katie, I'll ask this really quick question here. So
Okay.
you and Mary talk about doctors and healing quite a bit as you talk about beadwork and all these pieces that way. How do you find making traditional beadwork and clothing healing for you?
Good question. Well, for one thing, I don't know how a lot of tribal people don't do beadwork. I think it would be beneficial for everyone to start doing it again, because it fills my day. Like a lot of times I'm either out riding horses doing horse stuff, or I'm doing beadwork. Like it's that thing that instead of going out or going and I don't know, spending all my money or doing something, I'm always doing beadwork projects. It's taught me how to be really productive, taught me how to have like set goals, do deadlines, and also taught me how to do multiple projects at once, because a lot of times if I'm working on one thing, I have like 4 or 5 other projects going at the same time because I get bored really easily. So I think it's really kept me personally in check, because I'm all over the place, and having like something to work on just to constantly do in the background. Like if I was ever watching TV or movie, I'd be doing beadwork. If I was like back when we were having a lot of powwows and I'd go to powwow, I can beadwork and work on it. When I travel, I bring beadwork projects with me. And it's not just because like I'm trying to make money or anything. A lot of times it is projects for ourselves too. Most of the times if I bring a project with me, it's because it's for myself, but it just fills your day. It gives you something that to work on. It gives you a feeling of completion when you're working on things. And it's just cool knowing that like in 100 years when I'm gone, unless I live to like 130 or 140, that stuff is still going to be.
For me personally, I have always loved doing family history. Whenever I was at school, I would always be in the library studying. And then when I had free time, I'd go and look at old books to see if I could recognize any names from our family tree. And so it actually became a big passion of mine to do family tree kind of things. And tying that to the beadwork is just like connecting the past to the current and present. And for me, it always just gives me such happiness and keep working hard, because you know the people back then, they had to work really hard to get to this day and age.
Yeah, it definitely just gives us like a tie to like knowing our grandparents or great grandparents and like just doing the same things that they used to do. It makes me I get a feeling of completion by doing it. It's just something that I don't know, I feel like it connects us through time, and I feel like I'm like doing right by them, doing things that they would have done back then. And I don't know, all of the things we make, it's just so pretty. And then seeing the things that they made back in the day is so pretty. I just love like making all of these like things. It's my mom was like, okay, after you guys finished your projects, you guys are done. You don't have to make any more, but we loved making stuff like dresses and other pieces so much that is like, we don't want to ever stop just because we have our own set of beadwork. We're just going to keep making stuff. Otherwise, what are we going to do to fill our time? Like everyone has their thing that they do to fill time, but for me, just having beadwork projects going on, like I don't ever want to stop, and I don't ever plan on stopping.
So one thing
Thanks,
that hi, I'm back. So before Roundup this last fall, somebody had asked me to make a horse regalia for them, for their granddaughters, for her granddaughter to pass down in her family. And it took me more than 100 hours to get a horse martingale done. And I was so proud of it. And when she got it, she went, wow, like this is just beautiful. And just knowing and feeling like super proud that that's going to go down to her granddaughters is a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, and the prices that we charge people are not consistent with like what you see on auctions, but that's because you'll see things selling for like thousands of dollars online. But when we make things for other tribal people, we really do undercut ourselves, but it's worth it to bring back like regalia for people. That's why like my mom always sold teepees so inexpensively, is because like, so my mom's a teepee maker, she makes teepees, is so that people have something to pass down, because like if there's only like limited amount of people that know how to make things, that you should really be still like sharing that knowledge, and at least like covering what you're putting into it, like for supplies wise. But they take hours and hours of work, but it's worth it. And as long as you love what you do. Anything else? Mary's walking my baby around. He likes the light. Well, if none of you have any more questions, Leah, Jack, Jen, I think it's good.
If not,
Yeah.
Good to go.
Yeah.
thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
and thank you for
sharing.
inviting me.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you guys were able to, and we're so happy to host. Thank you everyone for attending. Please go check out all of their platforms, Instagram, Facebook, their website, all the things, and keep checking on their journey.
And if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out and we'll get to you and answer them to the best that we can.
Excellent. Well, thank you both so much. I hope you have a great evening, and we hope to see you all again.
All right, sounds good. All right, bye everyone.
Bye. Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Bye, Mika.
Bye.
Justin.
Bye bye, Harris Sisters Collaborative.
Bye.